Yo, it's me, Concluded. I'm back. I'm here to make a video about the One Piece live action show that was available on Netflix. Or as I like to call it, Bad Piece. So basically, what I've done is I got my handy dandy iPad, just wrote down notes the entire time I was watching this piece of shit. And maybe I'll just go note by note. The video might be real long if I do that, but it's easier to remember and sort of rile myself up and make myself more mad as the video goes on. So yeah, let's get into it. Well, first off, if you want to see my credentials of like who's this fucking idiot, why does he get to critique the show? I've liked the real One Piece since I was 3 years old. I started watching the anime on 4Kids back when they had the inferior dub as opposed to the Sony one. Not Sony, Funimation, same shit. And then when I was like 13, so like 13 years ago now, I started reading the manga, and then I've been reading the manga ever since. Over the last 3 years, I've reread the manga, and then I started watching the anime from where I left off. But to get to my list of shit, let's do this. The note is named Problems with the Shithole known as live action One Piece, because I have to, you gotta stay mad the whole time. Point number one is Luffy can't act. English clearly isn't his first language, and anytime he speaks, it sounds like he's acting a question. Acting a question. Sounds like he's asking a question. Every time he's saying words, it sounds like he's like translating the lines in real time, as if it's a Brazilian dude. So it's almost as if they like gave him the script in Brazilian, and then he has to like go into his fucking mind palace to like think about how to talk good, but he can't, so it's bad. Point number two. So far, none of the main cast can act except for Nami, and that's kind of true for the rest of it, because we got Luffy, who can't act because he's a human translator bot. Zoro, who also doesn't act very well. They want. It seems like the director probably was like, "All right, man, act really cool," but instead that just meant act edgy and quiet. And like Manga Zoro is cool, but not in the way that's being portrayed here. Like Manga Zoro is just like, there's something about him. Like, I want to kiss him. And I said the main cast can't act upset Nami, so to keep going down the list, there was Usopp, who Usopp's actor actually does a pretty fine job, but he never really feels like he's playing Usopp. Even when they give him Usopp-like lines or scenes where he's supposed to act like a coward, he is acting. It doesn't feel real. Like, obviously it's not real. It's a fucking TV show, but it feels like bullshit. It doesn't feel like, I don't know. I'm moving on to Sanji. Now they got a British dude to be Sanji, which I find perturbing, because Sanji in the manga, when he's introduced, it seems like his influences as being like a French dude. And then later on, more of his backstory is revealed, and it's shown that he's actually like more of German ancestry. So it's like this German French motif. And then in the live action, they're like, fuck it, make him British. But he's not even just British, which 900% of the people in this fucking show are British, which is distracting to say the least. Because I don't know if like the writer was just like, oh, they're pirates, so they're fucking British, right? I don't know what's up with that. He isn't just British, he's also like a chav. So like, his first scene, he's like, oh, I can't cook in this kitchen, it's an insult to the fucking mate. And it's like, what are you even saying? I need the fucking subtitles to understand you, bestie. And then there's scenes where he's screaming, and he just sounds like he's suddenly doing an American accent. What's up with that? Explain yourself. And then there's Nami, who, other than Usopp, who, like I said, was fine, but wasn't Usopp, Nami's the only one where I was like, okay, this chick, this lady can act good, and actually feels like she's playing Nami from One Piece, and not a caricature like Zoro, or a completely different character like fucking Usopp. It's great. And to continue about Nami, in point number three, we have Nami's wig. What were they thinking? Because, at least in the first like 4 episodes, it's this horrible fucking Party City orange clown wig, and she looks like a fool. She looks like shit. I'm sitting here watching, and I'm like, okay, so they dyed Zoro's hair green, which looks fine, I guess. Like it's not distracting at all. It looks a little silly to see like this grown man with green hair, but then they have Nami and they just like shove this fucking clown wig on her, and it's like, why didn't they just dye her hair orange? After episode 3 or 4, I don't know if it's the same wig. Certainly it mustn't be. She gets a better wig. It's still distracting because it's very clearly a wig, but it's better. You know, they improve upon it. My next 2 points, well, the next point actually, I like, because it's very clearly like I'm on episode 1, where it just says, why is everything so generic? Which is a great point. Because they take something like incredible, like One Piece, which is this like silly, goofy work of art, and then they're like, what if we made it for everyday Joes, aka boring, aka bad, aka shitty, aka poopy? Alright, moving on. The next point, I kind of already touched on this. Why is everyone British? Like, I have to assume they were just filming in like that part of the world, because otherwise, why is like 99% of the whole cast British? Like, it's very distracting when I'm like, okay, there's this character, and then they're like, all right, what's all this then? And it's like, okay, well, now I have to listen to this for episodes. Point, I'm not going to count them because I don't know how to count. I'm making a video about anime. Everyone said, wow, Buggy is so menacing. It's literally just a white dork who screams sometimes. Is this the first thing they've ever watched? Yeah, okay, so they hired, I forget his name. My mom, my beloved mother, don't you dare talk shit about my mother, watches the show Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. She's seen it like 900 times. And in that show, this guy plays a character, I think it's called Dirk or Deke. I don't quite remember because I've just seen like rare episodes with her. I don't actually watch the show myself. He is the guy who plays Buggy. Don't know his name. Probably should have looked it up first. Didn't. Oh well, moving on. And he's just like a white dude. So on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., he's like this like nerdy fucking geeky loser. And like that like rings true to like Buggy still, like where people on like social media were like, oh my god, I can't believe they did it. They made Buggy scary. Oh, don't they know he's a goofball? Even though in Buggy's first appearance he is actually supposed to be a legitimate threat, so I don't know what they're doing there. Uh but he also like wasn't threatening. The most threatening thing he did is in the manga, in real One Piece, goes to fire a cannonball at Luffy, and that's how he's gonna kill Luffy, is with a fucking gigantic cartoon cannonball with his like face on it. And then in the show, he is gonna drown Luffy to death, which is like much more boring, but I guess. Oh, it's so menacing. Excuse me. Gotta have my gamer drink. Where am I? Oh, Garp is Irish so that it's a big reveal for the normies that he's Luffy's grandpa. Because, I'll actually give them like daps for this, where in an interview at the end of a manga volume, people were like, hey, if the One Piece characters were real, what nationality and race would they be? And then he like went down the list where he's like, Luffy would be Brazilian, Zoro would be Japanese, Usopp would be African, Sanji would be, I guess Sanji would just still be white. He would be from France or Germany, like I said. And Nami, I don't know if he said American, but she's American in this, so good enough. And then, Luffy's direct family, you would assume, is also Brazilian, but for this show, they're like, it would be too much of a fucking hint if people saw this big, thick Brazilian boy and was like, oh shit, Garp is also Luffy's grandpa. So they made him a white Irish dude for some reason. No knock on him, because he's actually one of the, like, rare good actors compared to, like, most of the other cast. But I just think it's shitty to be like, we can't let people get to the bottom of this. Alright, next point. Zoro isn't instantly cool with being on Luffy's crew to make him more edgy cringe. Yeah, that's true. In the Buggy episode, like, actually, in the manga, Luffy's like, yo, Zoro, join my crew. And Zoro's like, hey, fuck off. So then they do the shit with Axe and Morgan from episode 1. And then Zoro is on board right away. He's like, alright, I'm your crew. Let's do this. We're homies. But in the show, the whole time, he's like, I'm not on your crew. I'm a baby. And, I don't know. I just think it's kind of fucked up to mischaracterize him like that. Just to make him more like, oh, isn't Zoro so fucking cool? He's not. Luffy names the crew. He would never do that. Also, he is spam saying... Sorry, hold on. Okay, yeah, Luffy named the crew, which someone correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure in the manga the Marines do. They're like enemies would call him Straw Hat instead of like calling him his name, so then they end up being the Straw Hat Pirates. But Luffy isn't like, we'll be the Straw Hat Pirates like he does in this show. And then I confused myself because I added on to the point with he spam saying fucking like Mark Wahlberg in Uncharted one-liners, Marvel movie style. This is bad, and it's true. Like characters are like quipping to be like to cater to the demographic of like the normal people that are watching the show, because watching a cartoon is too scary for them. All the character designs are played straight, so everyone looks like they're in dog shit cosplay outfits. That's true. I think the only person that looks fine is Usopp, and that's because they don't even like go for some fuck's sake. For some characters they go all the way. Like you see Kobe and he has the bright pink purple hair and the fucking square goggle glasses and he looks like a fucking idiot. Or Axand Morgan, who they give him the bright blonde hair and the thick fake metal jaw and the axe on his hand, and it's like, yeah, he'll look like that. Or when Mihawk shows up, and Mihawk is like, Mihawk would be so easy to I can't talk. This show is making me lose my fucking mind. Mihawk would be very easy to make look realistic, and instead they have him show up in his outfit that just looks fucking insane in real life because he's just wearing like a big ugly trench coat and like a gigantic fucking Zorro hat with a feather sticking out of it and no shirt so you can see his abs, and then like he has a cross and it's a gigantic, like it looks like it's made out of Lego, and he has bright yellow eyes that they put contacts in. Honestly, maybe if he didn't have the contacts it would look more normal, but if he didn't have the contacts and the gigantic fucking Lego brick cross, I would probably give it a pass, but because he does, he just looks fucking ridiculous. The CGI on Luffy stretching makes me want to barf every episode. No, okay, I'd like, I can't talk. I don't know what I'm trying to say. It looked fine in like one episode out of the 8, but other than that, it looked absolutely fucking disgusting. It's killing me. The worst time it happens is Garp shows up and then he like throws cannonballs at the Straw Hats, and to stop it, Luffy inflates himself. He does Gum Gum Balloon, which is like one of his moves. Gum Gum Balloon! And then he like sucks air in and inflates like a balloon. It does a Mii cosplay. And it looks so fucking nauseating to see them like animate the skin stretch out and inflate like he's made out of fucking water. Black guy who plays Usopp is too cool, and this is only true in his episodes because like in his episodes he's just like hanging out. He's just like a dude. He's just a guy. He's not like the rat coward that Usopp is, like spam telling lies, being a loud whiny little bitch. He's just like a dude. Real Garp is based. I don't know what I mean, but okay, it's two different points. It's one point that I separated into 2 points for some reason. Real Garp is based, as in the Garp from the manga is a great character that's fun to watch. Live action Garp is a generic military cunt. Nice. Dropping the C word. Good job, me. Yeah, he's just like, it will cut to scenes with him and Kobe and Helmeppo, and he's just like, we need to do our plan of attack. He doesn't sound like an American because he's Irish, but you get my point. Or he's like, we need to... And then we get... Oh, yeah. What? Okay. I should have known from the Usopp point that I'm on the Usopp episodes. Kuro looks like he's made of plastic. This is maybe one of the worst fucking designs in the whole show, where it's like Kuro and Arlong, where Kuro is such an easy design to like do normal. He is a butler. But for some reason, they like have him in a cartoon butler outfit with like slicked back hair with like, but it doesn't even look like they just slicked back his hair with like grease. It looks like they like put a plastic cap to look like hair on his head, and it looks like shit. He's got the fake glasses. I don't know if I'm imagining him having big fake shoes or not. That might have not happened. Later, he gets his claw hands. Those look fine, I guess. Although Kuro has like super speed, and in the manga and shit, they just illustrate that by like not showing him at all and doing like lines to like imply movement. And then in the show, they have him like duck out of frame and then like disappear. And so, like, I get what they're going for, but it looks so fucking goofy to see him like CGI disappear of like he jumps back into the green screen. Alright, in the manga, they treat Usopp as a nuisance because he won't stop harassing them about pirates. In this, they just ignore him. Yeah, okay, so Usopp, his whole thing is that he is a liar. He is, every day he runs down to his village and screams about how pirates are coming to attack the village. And at first, the villagers would be like, "Oh shit, Usopp's on this. Thanks, kid," and like go defend the village, even though no one would really be there. He would laugh at them like, "You silly fuckers, you believe me? You're out of your mind." And then as the years go on, because Usopp starts doing it when he's a little kid to flash forward where the story takes place to when he's like a teenager. By the time he's a teenager and we're introduced to him, he's like, pirates are attacking the village. And he's like screaming really loud. And the villagers like get mad at him and like attack him and throw fucking like rakes and shit at him. And it's like, it's played for comedy. And in this, he's like, pirates are here. Whoa, the pirates are attacking us. He's barely screaming. He walks up to a guy and he's like, well, you better get ready to defend the village. And the guy's like, "Oi, Usopp, when are you gonna stop being such a miserable little cunt?" And it's like, oh, wow, okay, Jesus Christ. Like, they treat him like dirt in the live action. Oh, yeah, this, I don't know why I have this so far low, because this was in episode 1. Helmeppo butt cheeks scene, where Helmeppo is Axiom Morgan's kid, and he, like, is, well, like, the secondary antagonist of that episode where he's being a little dipshit. And in the manga, he's, like, a rich bitch that's, like, acts like he's hot shit because his dad's a Marine captain, so he can do whatever he wants. He, like, abuses other Marines and then attacks the main characters and whatever. And in this, he's the one who, like, arrests Zoro. He steals Zoro's swords, which happens in the manga too, so that's correct. But it cuts to him, and he's in his room, and he's playing with Zoro's sword, Wado Ishimonji, and he's like doing this, like in the mirror, and then it cuts away after he like does this, and then you just see that he's fully naked, and you see his butt cheeks, and then his butt cheeks clap, and I guess it's supposed to be like a joke, but I don't know who would laugh at that except for like really dumb little fucking kids, because when I saw his butt cheeks, I just wanted to eat that shit. Anyway, moving on. I don't know why an episode 1 point was deep into episode 3. Killed the goat Mary for no reason. Seriously did not need to do this. It only happened to establish that Kuro is a threat, even though we already know that because he's a fucking pirate. Yeah, so in the manga, well, there's a character called Mary. He works for Kaya, who is Usopp's friend. He's like her head butler. And then he's the one who gives the Straw Hat Pirates their big first ship. And then in this, he's like her head of finances for some reason. Maybe that's true in the manga and it's just a detail I forgot. I don't think so. And then Captain Kuro kills his ass for no reason. Like I said, to be like, whoa, this pirate is scary, even though we know he's scary because he's a fucking pirate. Oh, my next point's a positive, so hey, I can maybe cool off on being so mad. Kuro, oh, I fucking lost my place. I just fucking saw it. Where is it? Don't actually hate Kuro's lackeys also being on Kaya's butler staff. Yeah, okay, so in the manga, it's just Captain Kuro pretending to be Kaya's butler, Klahadore. And then in the manga, his, like, lackeys show up and then are like, "Are we ready to do the plan, dude?" And he's like, "Yeah, dude." In this, his two main lackeys, they cut out, what's his name? Oh man, now I'm a fake. Now everyone knows I'm a fake fan. I don't know his name. Jocko, is that right? No, that it doesn't matter. If there's a character that looks like Michael Jackson and he can hypnotize you with a blade on a string, whatever. I'm gonna get eaten alive in the comments. No. He's cut out, but his two other lackeys are in a manga they're called like the Meow Meow brothers. And it's two dudes that dress up like cats and like slash at Zoro with their claws. In this, there's Butchie, who's still like a big fat guy, and then Sham, who is they made it a girl, which that's fine. Like it's such a minor character, it doesn't matter to like change anything about them. But except for like, I know people were like weirdly horny for her. I didn't get it. I mean, she's a pretty lady when she's not dressed up as Sham, but when she's dressed up as Sham, she looks like she's dressed up like a dumb cat and has like ugly ass green wig because the character design is so shitty. And then later when she's fighting Zoro, they're like, oh, well, they're black cat pirates, so she has to be like, and it's like, what the fuck? What is happening? I don't remember them doing this in the manga. I know at one point Butchie gets super strong or something. Oh, the details are lost on me. This part of the manga is also not the best, but it's definitely better than this shithole. Garp wears his dumbass cartoon dog hat, but the stupid ass generic military cunt they made him would never do that. I'm glad I didn't like make this. Just stream of consciousness. I have to be as insulting as impossible apparently. But yeah, so in the manga, Garp wears this like gigantic dog hat that like covers his eyes. So it's like later a reveal in Water 7 when it's like, who's this dog captain guy and why is he showing up to like fuck with Luffy? In this, he's just wearing it for no reason. It kind of seems out of character for this, like, rough and tumble military guy to wear this cartoon dog hat, but whatever. You know, they had to include it, right? You gotta stick to the source material, even though we're already changing shit. They threw Zoro at the bottom of a well. Yeah, so I don't remember the details because I watched this episode like a month ago, but they beat up Zoro or kidnap Zoro or whatever, and then they throw him at the bottom of a well, which is absolutely batshit to me. Like, to be like, we need him out of our way. Bottom of a well, like it's Lassie. Kaya's poison is really blue Nickelodeon slime. Yeah, okay, so in Captain Kuro's plan is that he's gonna, like, poison Kaya. So he's slowly poisoning her so that she's weak as shit, so he seems like a good butler. And then his plan is to kill her when she turns 18 so he can get all her money. And in this, to like illustrate that the drink is bad, it's like cartoon blue jelly. Like, it doesn't look like anything you would ever actually eat. And like it, I guess in this world it's probably fine, right? They have talking snails, whatever. But it just looks like something you would never drink. Proceeds to drink my green drink. Usopp calling Luffy his other best friend was actually a funny moment. Yeah, okay, later, I think Usopp runs into the Marines or something, like, because they're shoehorning in the Garp plot. And Usopp runs into the Marines, and then he describes Kuro's plan to the Marines, and he calls Kaya his best friend. But then he has to bring up Luffy so that Garp and Kobe are like, we need to go fucking get Luffy. And then he calls him his other best friend, and it's actually a cute moment. But we have to quickly move on because I can't ruminate on any points that are too positive. Kuro can't act like he's supposed to pretend to be a good guy, but he's such a sinister cartoon villain in every scene. Every scene he's so like obviously evil and like rude to the main characters. And like in the manga, this is something they changed where like in the manga, Usopp has to like sneak in and to talk to Kaya, to like be her friend. And then, like, that pisses Kuro off because he knows he's, like, lying to her or whatever. And then in this, I'm pretty sure Usopp knocks on the door and is like, let us in, we're here to see Kaya. And they're like, come on in, bestie. But, in the manga, it makes sense because they, like, show them, like, fucking up in front of Kuro and, like, he snuck in. That's, like, a bad thing. So, of course, Kuro would be like, get the fuck out of here. You're not supposed to be here. But in Bad Piece, he's just, like, an asshole and like very clearly scheming something. Saw some people upset that unlike in the manga, Usopp wants Kaya's pussy, even though that's the obvious subtext. Yeah, so in the manga it's never like stated like Usopp and Kaya are obviously like romantically interested, like they're just friends. Even though if you ask me when I read it or watch that part of the series, it's like obviously the implication. And then in the show later, they, like, kiss each other and they, like, got people riled up on Reddit. Kuro and crew villain reveal played like a high school play. I don't even remember that scene. I guess I was mad about it when I watched it. Slasher movie Kuro so cringe. Yeah, so Kuro... Oh yeah, did I write this down? Yeah, I did. Okay, so slasher movie Kuro is so cringe. There's a scene where like Nami, Usopp, and Kaya are like, "Yo, Captain Kuro's a bad guy. We need to hide." So they like hide in the walls, I think. And then Kuro is like shoving his blade hands, his Freddy Krueger hands through the walls. And they have to be like, "Oh shit," and run, and it's like a shitty slasher movie scene. But why that's so fucked up is this point. Kuro almost instantly tries to kill Kaya the second she turns 18, completely throwing the plan to get her to sign over her wealth out the window. Because, yeah, like I said, he pretends to be a butler for a couple years. He has her parents killed. And then he, like, tries to show her that he's based so that she'll give him cash. And then, like, that, like, the manga, it hinges on her, like, actually signing paperwork to give him her stuff. And then, like, then she finds out he's a pirate, and he's like, okay, fuck it, I'll just kill you anyway. In this, that doesn't happen. She never, like, really doubts Clawhor's true intentions. Like, Usopp's like, hey, Kaya, he's evil. And she's like, get out of here with that shit, you're lying to me. And then you hear, like, the clock tower go off, and it's like, ding, ding, ding. And Kuro's like, this is what I fucking must have meant by, like, it's played like a high school play, where he's like, now it's time. And then he busts out his claw hands. His goons get into fucking cat cosplay, and then they just go try and kill her without even, like, 1 second trying to get her to sign over the wealth. Like, it's fucking crazy. It makes no sense. What the fuck? Now, to get to that Kuro point, I had to skip over 2 points because I had to skip over 3 points. Why the fuck is Zoro backstory randomly placed in the Kuro Evil episode? Someone feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. I don't remember when Zoro's backstory actually happens, but I don't know if it's during Usopp's shit. But this, it's like, it would cut away, it would, like, scene 1, the crew trying not to get killed by Kuro. Scene 2, Zoro at the bottom of the well trying to climb out and remembering that when he was a kid, he had a friend, and now that friend died, and now he has to honor their promise to be the world's best swordsman, and then he climbs out of the well when he realizes, I would be a bad swordsman if I didn't climb out of this well. And then also, Kid Zoro can't act. That's a big theme, is like the kids not being very good. But that's normal for any series, so it's not really like... But the most important point about kid actors is that Kid Zoro and Kid Luffy don't have the same accents as their older counterparts. So, like, you're introduced to Luffy in episode 1, and he's Brazilian. He's got a Brazilian accent. And then it flashes back to chapter 1 of the manga, where you see Kid Luffy, and the kid is American? Why is this kid American? Why doesn't he have a fucking Brazilian accent? Like, was that so hard for, like, it's such a little thing that, like, I probably shouldn't be so furious, but, like, was it really that hard to find a Brazilian kid that can act? Because it's not like he looks a lot like the guy that plays the grown-up Luffy. Like, it could just be any kid in a fucking curly hair wig, as long as he's Brazilian. And, like, the kid was Brazilian. He's not a white kid, I should say. But he's a kid with an American accent. He doesn't have the Brazilian accent like Luffy, which I guess is maybe for the best, because Brazilian Luffy can't fucking act. Anyway, Zoro finally stops having his backstory and climbs out of the well. Then he saves Luffy from getting shot at by Helmeppo by delivering the worst punch to ever grace the silver screen. Yeah, okay, so, like, I don't know where Luffy is, but he gets, like, approached by Kobe and Helmeppo's, like, ready to just fucking shoot him in the face. And he gets saved by Zoro. Sorry, I just confused myself, because it's like, thank God Zoro was there to save him, even though maybe they didn't establish this in live action. I thought they did. But Luffy doesn't get hurt by bullets. Like, it's like a regular handgun or a rifle. That would just, like, go into him, stretch, and then get shot back. But Zoro shows up and, like, does this at Helmeppo's face. Clearly doesn't touch him. Helmeppo gets knocked back. And then, like, it fucking looked terrible. Like, they should have either just had him actually hit him or, like, cut away. Because what does happen looks so bad. Why the fuck is there so many giga zoom ins on the actors' faces? This is a problem that permeates the whole fucking show, where it would just like, all right, I'll just show you. There are so many shots that are this close where it's just like Kobe, like, or Nami or Luffy or fucking every character, like it would be a YouTube video in and of itself to count how many shots are this fucking close. Why did they do this? I heard that it was COVID restraints. I had never seen any other show do this where they were like, oh, well, COVID exists, so just fucking do this with the actors. Shove the camera into their mouth. Fuck's sake. Oh, no, I'm getting mad. Shan and Butchie actually look like little kids playing dress up. Holy shit, using blankets as a cape. Yeah. They get in their cat outfits, which in the manga, isn't really anything. Like Shan is just in like a black outfit and shorts, and then has like claws, and then Butchie has like a face mask that probably has cat ears. I don't remember, and like he's just wearing like he's a fat guy with no shirt and like big pants. And then obviously in live action, it's like in the contract that it has to look bad, so it does. Then I wrote Luffy's actor's name. Can't sell being angry at all. Again, bad actor. Yeah, this is really evident later in like episode 7 or 8, where like Luffy has to like not just be like, yippee, yeah, I'm Luffy, happy, ha ha ha, and like be serious, and he can't do it because he doesn't know how to act good. Oh yeah, at one point someone says Captain Kuro. The guy that fucking plays Captain Kuro says, I am Captain Kuro. And I'm like, right, it's Kuro. Again, a little thing, but like it's so easy to get right that like, come on, what are you doing? Zoro kicks Sham down the stairs, and instead of looking real, they had the actor poorly roll down them. Yeah, there's a scene where Luffy's supposed to kick Sham, and she doesn't. When someone falls down the stairs, you'd think it would be like, whoa, but she's like, oh. Luffy beats Kuro at Gum Gum Bell. It looks disgusting. For some reason, Kuro is bawling his eyes out as if he actually regrets his actions. Yeah, so Luffy does Gum Gum Bell, which is where he stretches his neck back and then headbutts him. And it looks really fucking gross because necks aren't supposed to do that. And I know it's a show, but like, it looks so fucking disgusting. And then when Luffy is fighting Kuro, he's like, Kuro is crying. And I came to the conclusion later that like, there's a scene where Kuro's in a rowboat and he's just leaving and he's like bawling his eyes out. And like, I don't know if they're either going for like Luffy like clowns on Kuro's dream so hard that Kuro cries, which would like be thematically correct. But I got the vibe, I think from the dialogue and shit, that Luffy's like, how could you do this to Kaya? Are you so bad? Don't you know that pirates can be good guys? Luffy would never say this. And then Kuro is fucking bawling like a little baby, like, oh, boo, maybe I shouldn't have killed those two guys, and then also going Mary. After they win, Usopp goes, whoa, you did it. And Luffy gives a thumbs up. Did a fucking 3-year-old right there. Yeah, it's like so fucking corny to be like, Victory Royale, boys. Luffy names the ship for Joe reason. I guess I meant no reason. Luffy names the ship for no reason. He would never do that. Yeah, I don't... Yeah, all because they killed Mary for no reason. So Luffy does it to honor this guy he doesn't know. Yeah, there's a scene where he's talking to Kaya where he's like, he would be proud of you giving us this ship. And, like, in the manga, Mary is alive to give them the ship. And he's like, this ship is called the Going Mary because I'm the one who fucking made this. But in this, they killed him for no reason. So they had to have Luffy do something out of character again. Shocking. I really need them to stop making Luffy scream his head off cringe. Yeah, so there's scenes that, like, would be true to the character. Like, in the manga and the anime, he's loud as fuck. It works because the voice actors sell it. This guy can't act, so he's just like, yeah, woo! And it sounds fucking unbearable. Like, all I do is see red. They drop the haha Garp is Luffy's grandpa thing, and the reveal is treated with the respect of a wet fart. Yeah, okay, so Garp shows up chasing them as they're leaving Usopp's island, and then Garp shows up and is like launching cannonballs at them, and then they like look through binoculars and they're like, oh shit, it's Vice Admiral Garp. And then Luffy's like, Grandpa? And they're like, what do you mean, Grandpa? And then they just keep going. This is the scene where Usopp drops a bunch of cannonballs, which frustrates the crew. Even Luffy, who's like, "Oh man," even though the real Luffy would just like laugh at Usopp and be like, "Haha, Usopp, you dumbass." But in this, they have to finally start leaning into Usopp's actual character, which is someone that's like not very good at being a pirate and a coward and a liar. So they do that by having him drop all the cannonballs once he's dubbed the ship's gunner. They call Zoro the first mate. He isn't. Another small complaint where Nami calls Zoro Luffy's first mate like a couple times. In the manga, he's never referred to as that. Like, it's technically the truth where, like, he's the first person to join Luffy's crew, so he's the first mate. But that's not something they would ever say in the manga because that's not something that matters to them. Like, Zoro in the manga doesn't have a real role in the crew like basically everyone else. He's just there. This place better have a bar. Oh yeah, that's the Zoro scene where it's like, this place better have a bar, and then it's just supposed to be like, isn't he so cool? Even though that line's just kind of cringe. Zoro goes to sit down, but his swords get stuck on the table. This is the type of shit that would make a baby laugh. That's a common complaint I guess I have, is that this show is very clearly for like 40-year-olds, but all I do is see like grown-ups being like, yeah, this is actually good even though it's bad. Yeah, so they go to the fucking boat restaurant where Sanji works the baratier, and then they go to sit down at a booth, and then Zoro can't get in, because he's got the swords on his hip, and he could just take the swords off. Like, the manga, he would just take the swords off and sit down, or leave the swords on the ship or something, anything. Why would he take the swords in a restaurant? They have Sanji dressed up as a normal chef for some reason. Yeah, in the first scene, Sanji's just dressed up like a real-life chef, and then Zeph is like, get the fuck out there and wait tables, and then he switches into his, like, canon outfit. Sanji is a fucking chef. I already covered this at the beginning when I was talking about the actors. Well, Sanji like sounds like this, and you kind of really understand what he's saying, mate. His first line is, I'm not gonna do that because it would be an insult to the fucking mate. And it's like, oh, Jesus Christ. Like, Sanji's my favorite character in the manga. He's first introduced as this gentleman, cool chef that also treats the place with no respect, and in this he's just awful. They have full body in an even worse wig than Nami. Yeah, so Sanji's introduced by trying to like diffuse a situation between he's not a Marine yet. Later he becomes a Marine. Not important. He's just like some rich asshole who like has purple hair. But in this, instead of just having an actor dye his hair purple, they have a giant purple wig that has like hair hanging like this. Oh, this is when I think this is when I like really got upset. Mihawk's introduction is literally the quality of a 2016 era YouTube video. It cuts to Mihawk. He is swinging his big sword. He's clearly in front of a big ugly green screen. He is like, it looks like his sword has no impact on the people he's killing. He is fighting Don Krieg. Don Krieg literally looks like someone else is voicing his line, and he's just like matching the lips to the sounds. Like, it didn't look like, maybe they got a guy that like looked the part. He didn't, because like Don Krieg is huge and this guy looked like just a dude. This guy also, this is a guy that they just dyed his hair, and it looks overall fine. Like, it looks stupid because it's a cartoon character in real life, but why the fuck is Luffy drinking milk? Real Luffy would drink beer like the rest of them. He isn't a child. Yeah, there's a scene where they sit down at the baratier and they all order their drink, and they all order like beer or sake or wine, and then Luffy's like, and I'll have a milk, and it's like, I guess they're supposed to play up his innocence, but like real Luffy from the manga would drink fucking beer. He's not 2. He's not a baby. Most emotion Zoro has shown so far is being happy when he gets to drink beer, and it's still cringe. Yeah. There's a scene where Zoro's holding his beer, and he's like, and it's the first time he's shown any other emotion than like, I am cool. Oh yeah, this is the part that really bugged me. In the manga, when Sanji tells Luffy his dream of finding the All Blue, he lights up. He's stoked to tell someone that he really believes he'll make his dream come true. And then in Bad Piece, he tells Luffy his dream and sounds so fucking unbelievably bored, like he doesn't even give a shit. I wish if I knew how to edit, I would put the panel of Sanji from the manga. He has this like huge smile that just makes you smile because it's so infectious that like he's so happy to be talking about his dream of finding the All Blue because no one else fucking believes in it. So he's like, no, but I do. And then in the live action, he's like, I'm gonna find out All Blue. I'm going to make my dream real. And it's like, okay, well, I mean, why do a good job when a bad job will suffice and everyone on the internet will say it's good? Cringe Usopp dance scene. Yeah, there's a scene where Usopp is just like dancing for no reason. I think it's supposed to make people laugh. He leans against Mihawk, and then like, this is how they introduce the rest of the crew to Mihawk. Mihawk's there to like beat Luffy. Oh yeah, right. This is a change they did. Where in the manga, Don Krieg shows up at the Baratier, and it's like a whole big fight with Don Krieg and his crew. Mihawk shows up to fight Don Krieg, and then Zoro challenges him to a duel. And in Bad Piece, he beats Don Krieg off screen, and he Wilhelm screams cringe. And then Garp shows up again for no reason because they shoehorn in another Garp scene, and he's like, will you hunt down my grandson? And Mihawk's like, bet. So then he goes to the Baratier to hunt down Luffy. Luffy's actor tries screaming angrily at Zeph once again, proving he can't act. Yeah. There's a scene where he's like basically like trying to stand up for Sanji and be like, you can't tell him shit. He's gonna follow his dream. But like, it's like this guy has never been angry before in his life. Luffy tells Zoro fighting Mihawk is a bad idea. The real Luffy wouldn't do that. He would just tell Zoro not to lose. Yeah, I'm pretty sure in the manga, Luffy like is all for Zoro fighting Mihawk. And then in this, Luffy's like, I don't know about this one, Zoro. That wouldn't fucking happen. Just fucking ruin the character, whatever. 3,000 Worlds looked like shit. 3,000 Worlds is one of Zoro's sword moves where he's got his main sword in his mouth, and then he's got his other two swords, and he's spinning them around. And like in the manga or the anime, it's fine because you can just draw speed lines. In this, they have him doing this, and what's on camera is like, it looks like he tied his two katanas together so that he could do this. But then after he does it once, it just cuts to a CGI like, well, what the fuck would you do? Like a CGI insert of the sword spinning. I'm gonna lose my fucking voice. And it looks awful. The way I didn't buy a live action Zoro, I'll never lose again moment. Yeah, okay, so Zoro gets his ass slapped by Mihawk. And then, like, in the manga, he's, like, crying, face against his hand. It's like, he's, like, sobbing, and he, like, throws his sword in the air, and he promises to Luffy he'll never lose again. Because that would be not good for the King of Pirates to have someone that loses on his crew. And in this, the guy doesn't cry very well, and then he's like, I'll never lose again. And then it's like, cut to new scene. Kid Sanji is the first one with the same accent as adult, perhaps. This turned out not to be true. I don't remember if Kid Usopp ever talked. If he did, I didn't write it down. But Kid Sanji at least has the same accent as Sanji, but also not really, because Kid Sanji is more like you can understand what he's saying as opposed to, oh, Sanji, oh, it's so don't fucking me. Later you see Kid Nami, she also has an American accent, that's fine. Oh yeah, so then it's Sanji's backstory where he's on a ship, it gets raided by pirates. One of the pirates is Zeph. The ship gets blown up or whatever the fuck. And then Sanji wakes up and him and Zeph are on a gigantic rock with like nothing on it. Like it's just a giant rock in the middle of the ocean. And Zeph's like, here's your share of the food. I'm going to go sit over there. Don't fucking talk to me unless you see a boat. Sanji sees a boat in the distance and he's like, hey, come on, hey. And it like doesn't, like it's CGI insert of a boat and it doesn't move. It doesn't go anywhere. It just, like there's smoke coming out of it. So like it's moving, but it's not going anywhere. And then Sanji's like, oh shit, I can't believe it's leaving. But it's not because they didn't animate it. Zeph joins the brigade of 3 good actors so far, Lamau. He makes the shit actually kind of watchable despite the horrible visuals. That's true. Zeph, it's like Zeph, Garp, and Nami, like, carry this fucking shithole on their back. They're like, don't worry, guys. We actually learned how to act before we got casted. And I guess it helps that, like, Zeph and Garp are, like, older dudes. They're, like, 40 or 50-year-old dudes. So, I mean, I don't want to give excuses to the rest of the people that can't fucking do a good job. Actually, you know what? Another good actor was Helmeppo. I never brought that up. I don't think I wrote that down because I wrote some of these after the fact. Scene of Nami shitting on Luffy for being a bitch, and Emily Rudd is crushing it. Meanwhile, the guy that plays Luffy might as well be a wet paper towel she's acting off of. Yeah, so she is basically being like, how the fuck did you let Zoro fight Mihawk? What were you thinking? And then the guy that plays Luffy is like, I didn't think that he would lose. And like, oh, come on, dude. Act. Ah! And then I wrote, haha, what if the fishmen looked good? So I don't know if this is when Arlong or Kurobi first shows up. Because he does show up at the Baratier. There was a fishman that, like, was like, can I get you guys anything to drink? Or, no, that's wrong. He's the guy that sits them down at their seats. And he, like, has a big fin and his head is red. And he looks pretty good. Like, it's a weird fucking spot to be like, we have a really good budget. Let's put it in to random fishman number fucking 1. And then when you see the fishmen that are actually important, Arlong, Kurobi, and Chu, let's make them look like shit because we don't know how to fucking do this. I'm losing my voice. Okay, camera operator, we want to make sure we just shove the camera inside Luffy and Arlong's mouth. I don't want to see a single centimeter of extra. Again, like I said, like when the camera was real close, they do it a lot. Sanji fighting looks awful. Yeah, there's a couple... Apparently the guy that plays Sanji actually like learned how to fight. Like, that's pretty cool. Good for him. But any scene that involves him like doing like his actual cool anime moves, they like film him doing them, but then just like edit it into the shot. And then when his like leg would make impact, they would just cut to a shot of his leg being against whoever he's fighting, and that looked really, really fucking poor. Like, ugh. Fake water CGI bad. Yeah, there's a scene where Luffy gets thrown underwater, and he's like, because he can't swim, and then Sanji has to jump in to save him. But obviously they don't just, you know, they have a really high budget, but they couldn't just film Luffy being underwater, so they just have him in green screen water. And it looks fake and bad and shit. They butcher Sanji saying goodbye to Zeph. In the manga, it's incredibly heartfelt, where he gets down on his knees and bows. In Bad Piece, he just blubbers like a baby, and it's a cliche, yeah. So in the manga, in the anime, he gets down, like, face against the floor, he's crying, and he's like, thank you, Zeph, I'll never forget what you did for me. And it's, like, a great scene. Makes me want to cry when I read it. And in this, he's just, like, standing there, bag over his shoulder, adult man crying, like, thank you, Zeph, I'll never forget you, goodbye. They really got rid of Johnny and Yosaku to shoehorn in Buggy more. Yeah, so, like, in the manga, there's these two characters that are Zoro's old buddies, fellow bounty hunters, and they help the crew out. Like, they just run into them when they're on their boat, sailing to Baratier, and then they're there for the next 2 arcs. And they're not super important, but they add a little bit of flair. And this, they're just not in it. Kind of makes Zoro's life seem more empty. And they shoehorn in Buggy to be like... They don't give their role to Buggy the Clown, but they just are like, let's bring Buggy back early for no reason. So Arlong, like, goes to... I guess I didn't write this down. My bad. But, like, Arlong shows up and goes to Buggy and is like, I'll run the East Blue. And this is when they, like, reveal Arlong, and that, like, in the manga, Arlong is this, like, super pissed off fish man. He's racist towards humans. It's like fighting fire with fire, where he's mad that humans are racist to Fishman, so he's like even just as racist back, or even worse in a way. So he wants to like enslave a whole town like his people were enslaved. In this, they don't really like reveal that. For like, he shows up in, what is this, like episode 5? They don't reveal that like he hates humans until the last episode, or episode 7. So episode 7 or episode 8, the last 2 episodes. In this, he just shows up and he's like, I'll run the East Blue, and he's like this generic like gangster, like hitman, mafia character. Not hitman, like yeah, mafioso character. Like, it's not as interesting as the real Arlong from the manga. Buggy detached head CGI bad. I could have said this back in episode 2 notes too, where like Buggy's ability is that his body parts can split apart, but there's no way to make that look good. So, or at least like, there's a scene where he does like his move Chop Chop Cannon, where he makes his arms spin real fast while they're holding knives, and then launches them at the the opponent. And then in this show, when he does it, all his limbs come attached, and he's spinning them, and he's like, Chop Chop Cannon! But his head is floating there, and you can tell it's green screen, because obviously, can you believe they didn't do this just naturally? They didn't just cut off his arms and legs? Fuck, what were they thinking? But his torso's in the middle, his arms and legs are spinning, and his head is going, Chop Chop Cannon! But it looks like... It reminds me of, there's this sketch comedy group called WKUK, and they have a sketch where they are aping Wheel of Fortune, and it's called Wheel of Money. And it's like, okay guys, if you're going to spin the Wheel of Money, make sure you let go of the wheel as you spin it. And then all the contestants don't let go of the wheel, so their arms get cut off. So then it, like, cuts to them, and they are like this. Because there's no way to, like, look like you have no arms when you fucking have arms. It looks like that, but with bad CG. So I guess maybe it looks about 5% better than the sketch show from 2006. Alright, now I'm in the Nami Arlong Park episodes. Nojiko's wig and her giant hat. Giant hat. I don't remember her having a giant hat. Nojiko's wig and her giant hat. Why did I write giant hat? Nojiko is Nami's sister. And she's wearing... She has blue hair, so she's in... Her wig actually looks fine. But... And her giant hat. I guess I'll just have to let that one go. Will I rewatch it to understand what I mean? Absolutely fucking not. Don't say that. They have Arlong in a stupid fucking winter hat, which isn't unfaithful, but fuck is it dumb. Coupled with the horrible prosthetics. Yeah, so Arlong is a fish man. And they have him in these, like, awful prosthetic fish skin and, like, fake fish nose, because his nose is all long. And he's wearing, like, a winter cap, like the kind that has, like, the thing on the front and the two flaps. And I was like, I know Arlong's in a hat. Is it in an ugly winter hat? So I looked up Arlong's real design, and he is... Shockingly, he's in this hat. But I think, like, in this, the flaps are down. I think in the manga, they're up like this, so they're less noticeable. And it kind of just looks like he's wearing, like, a hat that would, like, cover his whole head. And is less distracting. It just looks kind of more dumb in real life. Oh, yeah. Here it cuts back to Kobe. Kobe discovered that Garp and Luffy are related, and he goes, I should have known Luffy and Garp were related. They both love meat. Everyone on Earth loves meat. Am I related to every fucking other human being that's not a fucking vegan or a vegetarian? What are you talking about? What a fucking dog shit line. Like, who wrote that? Who was like, you should have been able to tell they were related. They love meat, XD. And fuck. Finally getting to the part where they butcher Nami's backstory. Yeah, okay, so Nami's backstory is that her town is taken over by Arlong and his crew. And she's like, hey, if I get enough money, can you let me buy my village back, you evil fishman pirate? And he's like, yeah, totally. And then her family knows. And they just pretend like... Nami fake joins Arlong's crew to do this. And her family pretend that they don't know that she's trying to do this. So they're like, we hate you, Nami, until it's revealed that, of course, they're just pretending. In the live action, they just don't know. They just are like, fuck you, Nami, you suck. We hate you. Eat shit and die. Until later when Nojiko just finds out because Nami's gold gets stolen or something. Ooh, yeah. Then it gets to the help me scene, which is like one of the most important hype epic moments of the East Blue, where a Marine that is in cahoots with Arlong, like, shows up and steals Nami's treasure that she had been saving up to buy the village back. And then this makes Nami freak out, because now she'll never have enough to, like, buy the village back. She realizes that this Marine was sent by Arlong, that, like, he's not honoring their deal. He was never going to give the village back. So she has a tattoo for Arlong's crew to, like, signify that she's a member of the crew. And she gets so filled with despair that she starts self-harming, stabbing herself with a dagger in the tattoo, until Luffy shows up and then stops her from hurting herself. And she looks at Luffy and she's crying her eyes out, and she just says, help me. And then Luffy puts his very important straw hat, which, by the way, they barely illustrate how important the straw hat is to him in Bad Piece, but it's his treasure that he puts on Nami's head. He entrusts his treasure with Nami, and then goes, Of course I will! And in the manga and the anime, it's played way better because they're fucking cartoons. In the live action, Luffy goes, of course I will. Of course I will! And it's way more cringe because it's real and it doesn't work as good as if it was a fucking cartoon. And then it cuts to it cuts to manga panels that go hard.jpg. Except it looks bad because in the manga it's like it cuts to Luffy walking away, he's all badass. Zoro is sitting there with his sword. Usopp's like in the corner like this, sit down, legs crossed, head down. And then Sanji's in the forefront, lighting a smoke or smoking. And like you can't see any of their eyes or like their faces because it's shadowed because they finally found the resolve to help Nami again. And it's a really cool fucking scene. But not in the live action because of the way that they tried to recreate the panel where like Zoro's just sitting there, Luffy's just kind of walking, Sanji is way too close to the camera, and it took me, I had to pause and go, where the fuck is Usopp? Oh, there he is in the corner, fuck. They didn't include him. Oh, I actually wrote extra critique. Here in Bad Piece, it's shot fucking awful. Usopp looks like he's about to burp, for fuck's sake. Zoro stands up and goes, I finally get to cut something. Oh god, the cringe. Ooh, and then we're into, I actually watched the last episode today before I recorded this. Arlong walks out with his sword. It's a gigantic, it's like this fucking long. Each individual piece is like a saw. It's like a saw more than a sword. I think it's to represent his like saw-like teeth. It actually looks fucking incredible. Like, see, oh, my voice is, it looks amazing. Like, I guess they took every piece of money that they had in the budget and were like, don't fuck the actors, hire people that suck, make the effects look like shit. All the outfits can look bad too, but make sure all along the Fishman Pirate's sword looks fucking dope. Also, in the very next scene it's introduced, Luffy breaks it. You gotta realize how fucking demoralizing that is for me, right? Like, I'm like, oh, this looks good, and then Luffy breaks it, and that scene looks like shit. Like, it doesn't look like he really broke it, because he's like crushing it with his hand, and then it's just like CG, and then he like breaks the prop, but the prop was clearly built with that in mind, so it looks like he's just disassembling the prop. I don't buy the Arlong racism at all. Yeah, okay, so they finally introduced that Arlong's like, I hate white people, no, I hate humans. But like, I think it's more like a portrayal thing where like, first of all, they introduced it too late because they introduced Arlong in like episode 3 for some fucking reason. And then he's just like, oh, by the way, I hate humans, hope you know. But like in the anime and the manga, he's screaming at it the whole time. Every scene, he's like, fucking humans, pieces of shit. I hope they all die. I want to enslave them. Arlong Park fight scene where Sanji's wearing a backpack the entire time, making it look even worse. Edit. I had to update this in real time because I was like, that's fucking stupid. It's then revealed that I forgot that they had Buggy's head. Like, I forget how Arlong has Buggy's head with him because Buggy is who leads Arlong to Luffy at the Baratier. And then they keep Buggy's head and they're like, you'll help us find Arlong, right? Because we can't just... In the manga, I think Johnny and Yosaku take them there. And in this, they need Deus Ex Buggy to bring them there. But yeah, Sanji has like a fucking messenger bag with Buggy's head, and he's like kicking dudes, and it looks stupid because why the fuck is he wearing this bag? Take it off. Even when I realized it was Buggy's head, it still looked dumb. Oh yeah, this is where they introduce... In the manga, Zoro and Sanji are always like fighting and like making fun of each other. Even if at the end of the day... Even if at the end of the day they really trust each other. I don't remember if in the manga they're already rivals at this point. I guess that would make sense, but in this, I didn't really buy it. I can't really expound on that, just so much as it's like Sanji's guy is a better actor than Zoro's guy, so it's like Zoro's guy failing to give me anything, when Sanji's guy, I'm like, okay. Oh yeah, Buggy's like, no, there's my body. Let me put my head back on my body and I'll help you guys. Bad CG of his head plopping back on his body. And then he's like, he gives them 2 middle fingers. I don't know why I hesitated to do that. I just don't want the video to get flagged. I don't know. He gives them double middle fingers and is like, I'm out of here. And then Zoro says out loud, fucking clown. And then I wrote, is he talking about himself? Nice. Good one, me. Props. It was mostly just cringe to hear this cartoon character I've been aware of since I was fucking 2 years old go, fucking clown. It's like when they made the Teen Titans live action show and Robin's like, fuck Batman, fucking clown. Ooh, yeah. Then they all start fighting their fishmen. And in the manga, in real One Piece, there's a scene where Luffy runs away and gets chased by one of Arlong's top henchmen, Chu, who has like huge thick lips. He also looks like shit in this, by the way. Don't forget. All the fishmen bad. Google what they look like if you want to throw up. Chu has thick fucking lips in this. In the manga, he has thick lips, but they're like this, like stick then lips. I don't like. He's based off some kind of fish, obviously. And then his thing is that he shoots bullets out of his mouth. So in this, he's holding alcohol and he and then spits it out. That probably sounded fucking awful on the mic. I'm sorry. And in the manga, Usopp gets his ass beat, and then he has a monologue to himself that he's like, I can't keep running from this dude. I have to stand and fight. No, I'm getting details mixed up. First he runs, then he stops and he's like, I have to stand and fight if I ever want to be a brave warrior this year like my father was. And then he stops, and then he gets his ass beat, and then he's like, but I'm not giving up. And he outplays Chu by, what's he do? I made sure to watch the anime fight right after, because I was like, that wasn't very good in Bad Piece. And he does something where he throws a bottle of oil at Chu, and then hits it with a piece of lead, a lead ball. It explodes all over Chu, and then Usopp hits him with a exploding star. I'm trying to think of the right words. And then that lights Chu on fire, and then Chu's like, oh shit, and starts running to some water. And then as he's running to the water, Usopp jumps and fucking hits him in the head with a hammer, and Usopp wins the fight, and it's awesome. Now in Bad Piece, let me describe how it's worse than that. In Bad Piece, Chu has alcohol, and then he says to Chu, you want to try some hot sauce? And Chu's like, no. And then Usopp's like, exploding star, and then he blows up Chu's bottle of alcohol, and then Chu just falls over dead, and then Usopp's like, yeah, I did it. And it's like, this wasn't even a hard scene to do correctly and cool, but they made it way less cool. They somehow fucked it up by also making Usopp way more competent than he should be. I'm losing my voice. The first time a fishman doesn't look absolutely horrendous is when Kurobi hops underwater, and instead of being a man covered in prosthetics, he's now a CGI fishman, which is what they should have done the entire time. They should have sucked out some of the budget from Arlong's sword and put it into what the fishmen look like as CGI creatures, Detective Pikachu style, instead of ugly-ass prosthetics. And then, for some reason, they cut out the guy Sanji fights Hachi, who's like a octopus, and he has 6 arms or whatever. And I get it, that they fucking fucked everything else up. There's no way they could do this correctly. But they cut him out, so instead they have Zoro and Sanji fight Kurobi together. Although in the manga, Sanji beats Kurobi up alone, and it's way cooler. It's a really awesome fight for Sanji. And then in this, in the manga, Kurobi's you need to stop being such a chivalrous gentleman, which is a core part of Sanji's character. Makes Sanji mad, then he kicks his ass. In this, he's just makes fun of Nami, and Sanji goes, no one makes fun of Nami, and then beats him up. It's basically he just kicked harder and suddenly won. Gum Gum Gatling looked fine because it's too fast to see his CGI limbs. Gum Gum Gatling is where Luffy punches super fast in succession. This is the 2 times Luffy's stretching doesn't look bad. When he fights Arlong in the Baratie, for some reason his normal punches looked fine there. And then when he fights Arlong again in this final episode, when he does Gum Gum Gatling, and it looks good. But then, right after Gum Gum Gatling, he does Gum Gum Battle Axe, where he stretches his leg super high in the air and slams it down, but it looks so fucking gross because of the way the stretching looks. Arlong, oh yeah, and then he slams his foot down, hits Arlong in the head, and Arlong is crashing through floors of the tower they're on. And it looks really bad. It looks like if you ever see CGI of someone skydiving, but in a commercial. They don't have the budget to make it look good, even though Bad Piece should. They had a really high budget, and it shows. There's all right, and then so Luffy doing that destroys the building, and it cuts to the rest of the crew, and it's like Luffy's under all the rubble. They're like, "Is he okay?" And there's supposed to be dust everywhere because he destroyed this fucking building, but instead of making dust everywhere or like using good CGI, they just put a sepia filter over it. Like I don't know if they thought that was good enough because it wasn't. It really wasn't. Oh yeah, Luffy saving Nami isn't really earned because, you know, it's 8 episodes as opposed to like 90 chapters or 50 episodes like in the manga or anime. So like he saves her and he's like, "You're our friend. You're a member of our crew." And it's like, "Okay. I don't really care though because the show is bad." All right, Garp shows up. They have to shoehorn in one final last Garp scene. He's like, Luffy, if you stop being a pirate, like we can just forget this. Which I don't exactly like. I guess he's a vice admiral, so maybe he can just do that. But like, I don't think you can be like, "Dude, just stop being a murderer. I'll forget about it. It's fine." And Luffy's not a murderer. I'm just using hyperbole as an example. Luffy does Gum Gum Rocket at Garp, and the stretchy arms look fucking disgusting yet again. Like it looks Gum Gum Rocket, he stretches back and then launches himself, but as he's launching himself, it cuts to him like, ah, as he's fucking flying through the air, and it looks like shit because there's no momentum to it. Like, they just, like, say this is Luffy, they just have him, like, that. Well, they actually, it's more like they have him stationary as they, like, pan the camera out to imitate movement. Bad. Garp holds Luffy, and then he's like, "Stop being a pirate, please." And then Luffy's like, "No, I'm going to be king of the pirates." And then he starts giggling. He starts chuckling to himself. Like, this is the moment to be like, "I'm going to be king of the pirates." And then it flashes back to episode 1 when Gold Roger, before he died, maniacally laughs about getting executed. And then I guess it's supposed to imply Garp is like, "Whoa, Luffy really could be king of the pirates." Because he's also laughing right before dying. But way worse. There's something like this in the manga, but it's actually poignant. It's actually a great scene in what will be the next arc in live action, I'm guessing, in the Logtown arc. What's left? Oh yeah, Garp is like, "All right, man, we're leaving." And Luffy's like, "You were testing me? You could have done a little easier of a job." And Garp's like, "Where's the fun in that, you little fucker?" And it's like Luffy, the real Luffy from the manga would never go, "Cut me a fucking break, Grandpa." Like, geez, you really fucked me up. Oh yeah, and then it cuts back to Nami's sister who goes, "Do you really have to leave? I was just starting to be characterized correctly." That's not what she says. That's what I'm memeing about. She says, "Do you really have to leave? I was just starting to like you." Because there's a reminder, they butchered this character's fucking backstory. What were they thinking? And then it reveals that Luffy gets his bounty. I fucking zoned out. Holy shit, this video is killing me more. Kobe shows up and gives Luffy his wanted poster. Luffy unfurls it. They recreate the wanted poster where Luffy is like in front of a camera and Usopp's in the background. It looks way fucking more stupid in real life. Like another example of like, yeah, this should have just stayed a cartoon. And then it like cuts to random people that they've met throughout the series reading the newspaper and being like, "Luffy kid got a bounty. Maybe he really is cut out to be king of the pirates." And they do it a couple times. They cut the Buggy, and he's like, "Fucker, I'm gonna kill him and collect this bounty." The girl, the evil villain girl from episode 1 is like, "I'll help you," setting up the next arc. And then, you know, it cuts to the scene where they're like, they're all gonna kick the barrel. They kick the barrel. They say their dreams. They break the barrel. And then it's finally over. Well, they tease Logtown with Smoker. Teased Logtown 3 different fucking times now. Better tease it again. But then it's over. And ideally, if this was how I felt, it would have gotten canceled. But it didn't, because I guess everyone on Earth likes it but me. I guess I'm wrong. I'm not. By the way, I'm not. Let me just say that. I know opinions are subjective or whatever, but this time, no, I'm right. If you made it to the end of the video, fucked up, this is too long. I shouldn't have made it this long. Yeah, I don't know how to end videos. It's just a wet fart now. The ending of this video is bad, but it's still better than live action One Piece. It's still better than Bad Piece. Thanks for watching.